February 2022, Russia entered Ukraine and the West slapped sanctions on Russia. Many were done, including taking Russian banks off of the SWIFT system. That was a big blow because countries like India, China, and Russia realized that this is a weaponization of the dollar by the West, and they decided to do something about it. Well, Russia and China have been accumulating gold for a while. Russia has its own mines, so does China. They don't reveal how much has been taken out, so we really don't know how much gold they have. And India, for its part, has been taking all the gold that it had mortgaged in the 90s at the Bank of England, as well as I think the Lloyds, when they were asked to do all that stuff in order to get an IMF bailout. So all that stuff is happening now. So why are all these countries getting into gold? I think it is because they think that the West will continue to weaponize the dollar and they are not very happy. This is in Biden's administration. Enter Trump's administration. Trump has been levying tariffs left, right, and center. And if you don't comply with him, well, they are going to rain hell upon the countries that don't comply. We've seen, countries like Canada who are forced to even apologize. Whatever it is, I kind of find that thing, a situation where Trump is really, driving all the countries mad with his tariff threats and actually carrying them out in some cases. Be that as it may, the stage is now set wherein BRICS initiative has started thinking about coming up with an alternate currency. And for that too, Trump had a tariff, 100%. So on those BRICS countries which would use an alternate currency, he said he will levy 100%. So threats and counter threats are going on for a while, but I think there is a silver lining behind all this thing, and that is that United States needs to get its act together. It cannot just keep on printing money like there is no tomorrow. So what has United States done? For one thing, they decided to lower the interest rate by 0.25%, and also they are going to stop quantitative tightening, which means tightening the money supply, which means they are leaving the door open for perhaps printing more currency. Whether that happens or not, let's wait and see. In the meantime, a lot of other things are happening. I have a small infographic to tell you what is happening around the world. A small request, as always, to please like this video and also subscribe to our channel. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, do so right away. And if you are interested in getting a Sengol, you can order that. It is available in both United States as well as in India. Here we go. Who was Parashurama, who led a life of devotion, dedication, and daring? Why did he take birth on the earth? Was it to eradicate corrupt Kshatriya rulers who had become tyrannical and oppressive, or was it to bestow daya for the needy? Let's get back to the time when Russia and China started talking about de-dollarization, a deliberate effort to reduce their reliance on the US dollar and dollar denominated assets. Many things started happening since the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. For one thing, China has managed to convince both Iran as well as Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to accept payment in yuan for the oil that they were buying from them. And they backed it up with the digital renminbi, which allows some part of the yuan to be converted into gold, and they can take that gold back out of the Shanghai Gold Exchange, if I remember correctly, into their country's chest. So this, I believe, has been tried, but it's not clear if an entire month's supply of crude, say for example from Saudi Arabia or Iran, was paid for in gold. So it's not a fully convertible thing. There are some conditions attached to it. Be that as it may, BRICS nations, particularly China and Russia, are moving away from the United States dollar. I think we have also told you how India is paying for Russian crude in dirhams of UAE as well as yuan, in addition to rupees, because Russia was complaining that they are sitting on top of too many rupees and they don't know what to do with it. Let's get back to 2022, when Western nations froze about 300 billion assets of Russia, in addition to taking them off of SWIFT. It is believed that the money that was sitting in France has already been taken out and consumed by France, and this is something that the French are vehemently saying no. They're saying only the interest earned from the amount that was kept in French banks have been taken, but you know that this is something that's not going to go away. Be that as it may, so $300 billion frozen as far as Russia is concerned, and a threat by Kaja Kallas, who was the Prime Minister of Estonia before she became, I think now she's the deputy in EU, when she threatened China that they would take China also off of the SWIFT. That made China, wake up and smell the coffee. They have also been trying to work closely with Russia. So basically, China and Russia, and now you're seeing increasingly India also not trusting the dollar denominated system, trying to find ways to buy crude in other currencies other than dollars. So this is happening now. So what is the other thing that they are doing? Both Russia and China have been accumulating a lot of gold. I'm going to show you a table that tells you what are the officially declared estimates of gold in each country, and I have some special observations about a few countries. Just do watch this thing till the end. So in order for these countries to be immune from SWIFT sanctions, for example, what have they done? They've started running up their deposits of gold, both Russia, China, and to an extent India also. Next, trade systems. The BRICS nations, or the BRICS plus nations I should say, seek to bypass traditional financial infrastructure like the SWIFT. So what happened? They came up with this system called M-Bridge, in which they have Thailand, China, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and I think also Iran may have joined it now, and they are trying to transfer money through M-Bridge and not SWIFT, and it is believed that M-Bridge is quite fast. So suddenly the petrodollar, and by extension the dollar or the global dollar, is under serious amount of threat. Now what is happening also is that the more Russia digs in Ukraine, the more countries are trying to, wherever the money was frozen of Russia, they are saying that, look, we are going to start using this as reparations. So the $300 billion Russian foreign reserves frozen in 2022 has really started setting the ball rolling among these countries. Now, what has also happened is, because these countries started buying gold, and because also everybody has been getting a little nervous about the future of dollar, the price of gold has gone up to $4,000 or more per ounce. It is believed that this might be a transient phenomena and it might fall back again, but just look at the run up of gold. It has gone from close to $2,000 an ounce to $4,000 an ounce. If anybody in India is thinking of buying gold jewelry, things became a lot more expensive, about 100% more expensive. Now, when something like this happens, that somebody takes a country off of the SWIFT system, the confidence in the entire SWIFT system just gets eroded. And also, United States keep printing money, the stability of the monetary, which is supposed to be the global reserve, also starts eroding. And this reflects a heightened global anxiety, serves as a hedge against inflation and massive government debt. I mean, like we said before, United States is running up $1 trillion in deficit every 71 days, and this might start accelerating the way things are going. So all this stuff means that a structural shift in the global financial architecture is taking place right in front of our eyes. Now let's take a look at the price of gold. This is what I was telling you in early 2022, before the Russian invasion, it was 1850. Then in mid 2022, around July, it went up to 2050, and now look at 2025, it is sitting at $4,100. Not only that, in central bank reserve holdings, the amount of gold holdings has just crossed the amount of holdings in US treasuries. For example, this is an average of many countries. Total, the gold holdings is 51% as opposed to US treasury holdings, which is 49%. And to reverse this thing, the United States has now come up with stable coins that, and they are saying that using stable coins, you can buy US treasury debt, which means that they are relying on American citizens to buy America's debt, because Americans system is good for it. How much stable coins is going to bring in by way of US Treasury bonds, only time will tell. We'll wait and see. Now, let us take a look at the top gold reserves. This is the official estimate. I'll give you an input on what I think are the real estimates of gold possessed by each of these countries. United States says 8,100 something metric tons of gold. Germany is around 3,355. Italy 2,452 metric tons of gold. France 2,437. Russia 2,333, and China 2,262. Well, what is wrong with this picture? Many conservative estimates are saying that the amount of gold being held in China is closer to 20 to 30,000 metric tons. 20 to 30,000 metric tons. This is a number that's not being ratified, it has not been confirmed, but it is being put out in the air that China has a lot more gold than what it is letting on. And ditto with Russia, because Russia has gold mines. Nobody knows how much has been mined, and more than that, nobody knows how much is still there. So there is this huge amount of gold available that's not been declared. And in fact, if you look at this chart, India is not even mentioned, whereas the private ownership of gold in India is close to 30,000 metric tons, with a further 20 to 25,000 metric tons available in temple money. So India has also got a huge amounts of deposits of gold. So one thing that is very clear is that the United States will probably not peg their currency against the dollar. And there's also another problem I heard, and I don't know how true this is or not. It is believed that one time a bank in the United States got gold-plated nickel bars, and they didn't realize that they were cheated, and that money was close to $50 million. So you now have a problem, in fact a suspicion, whether all the gold in Fort Knox is really gold, or does it have things like tungsten with an outer shell coated with gold or something of that nature. So you saw that Trump and Elon Musk talked a lot about Fort Knox gold, then they started walking it back. In fact, I've done another monologue where I've told you that if the United States wants all its debt written off of its books, then if it can increase its value of gold from the current value of $42 per ounce to say about 20,000, then a lot of the $38 trillion debt, a big amount of that can be written off, which would make it look like United States is healthy again, although they will have to also curtail spending in a big way. So that's what they are trying to do. That's why you have this shutdown right now. Trump administration is not budging to some of the money that Democrats want, especially for healthcare for illegals and so on and so forth. I don't know when this is going to end, but you see that both sides are digging in. So first thing that the United States needs to do to stop this run against the dollar is the three things that they are going to do, a three-pronged defense. First one, defend dollar's credibility. That is using Federal Reserve's monetary policy, which means interest rates, reducing it to stabilize inflation and make dollar assets more attractive than non-yielding gold. Yes, gold doesn't have any yield, and what we saw was, like last Wednesday, the United States Fed reduced the lending rate by 0.25. So now the lending rate is between 3.75 to 4%, and they also stopped doing quantitative tightening, which means that the money supply, at least the shrinking of the money supply, is stopped. They may in the future again start doing some sort of quantitative easing. The last time that was done was in 2019. We'll have to wait and see. So that's number one. Second thing is, how does the United States address the debt and fiscal policy? Remember, monetary policy is the interest rate. Fiscal policies is the incentives the government can give. For example, lower interest rate loans for small businesses, or a tax rebate, tax holiday if you do a certain thing, and so on and so forth. So there needs to be some sort of an initiative from the Trump administration to try and again incentivize people to take the money that they are willing to give, the banks are willing to give. Third one is geopolitical pressure. Continue to use sanctions and diplomatic leverage despite the risk that this weaponization of the dollar is what accelerated the gold buying trend. So this is a tricky one, and that's why they say a number and then they dial it down. So both sides feel, okay, we still got a good deal. Now the gold rush is forcing the US to confront the vulnerabilities of the dollar dominance in an increasingly multipolar world. Now this is where things stand today. It is possible that suddenly Saudi Arabia and Iran might realize that all the gold that is being given to them is not glittery. It might not be gold from China, because we have already covered many episodes where Chinese have a metal that looks like gold, but it's not actually gold. And you can see Sumit Pier's dialogues with me on that one. So there are lots of interesting variations here, but the United States also needs to curb its spending. And it is trying to do that. It is trying to cut back on many of the benefits that the illegals were getting, and they're also being persuaded to leave the country. About 2 million have left on their own, about 300,000 have been deported. Long way to go. 20 million still sloshing about in the system. Thanks for watching our channel. Please don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications, and see you again very soon. Namaskar.